Well, hello there everyone and welcome to episode 1 of the Spigot Coding series. In the last episode, in episode 0, we basically went over how to set up a Minecraft, or in this case a paper server. And we basically just went over some simple basics on some settings and how to connect to the server basically. In this episode we are going through the main setup using IntelliJ and actually making a functioning plugin that is actually able to load on your server. For this you can use your development software of choice. In my case this would be IntelliJ, which you can download on jetbrains.com/IDEA/download. I will also put a download link in the description. And you want to get the community version. This is the one I am using as well. So, to get started, after you've installed your IDEA, you want to actually launch it and create a new project. I sadly don't know anymore how creating a new project works in Eclipse, since I haven't used that in literal years. But I hope you will, for the fellow Eclipse users, I hope you will be able to follow along as well. So in this case, we want to create a new Maven project. This is using Java, but it's using something called Maven, which we will be using to easily include any libraries we want to use to code with. So after clicking on Maven, you can click on Next, and then select your folder and enter your project name. In my case this would be Spigot Tutorial, and then click on Finish. After this you're going to launch in your project view, and if you created it with Maven there will be a pom.xml opening. So in the pom.xml you can basically just do the main settings of your project and include all the libraries. To be fair, I actually haven't really looked myself at the pom.xml, so I am not really sure what everything does in here, but I know the main stuff that you actually need. So first of all, group ID is basically your main group ID. For example, if you are a host of a big server, in my case the BTMC community server, I would put the group ID as SRP, so basically me.btmc. And I would do this for every single plugin that is used on the server itself. Right now I'm just going to do SLP. The artifact ID is basically your, the plugin name, and version is just the version of the plugin. So for this I'm going to do version 1, since this is episode 1 as well. Next off, what you want to do is actually include the Spigot API, so you have access to all basically the libraries that the server is giving you to code with. What you want to do for this is open Google and search for Spigot Maven. So now we go on the Spigot Maven on spigotmc.org/wiki/Spigot Maven, and you can see right here this is everything you have to paste into your project. So you take all this, copy and paste in here. And you can either delete these comments or keep them. In my case I'm going to delete them this time. And then what's really important, that you actually click on the small load Maven changes icon up here. After all this is done and the libraries have downloaded, you are now able to actually create your project. So what we want to do first is go into source, main and Java, and this is our main folder path basically. If you want to really emphasize structure in your projects, so you actually know where you put what in. And what I like to do is create a new package. Package is basically a new folder. So you can create a new package, and you need to imagine like this. You put name.name.name. What this basically just does, it will create a new folder called name. Inside of that there will be a new folder, name, and let's say the third one is instead of called name is called a nice folder. This will actually be called nice folder. So this is just how to imagine how to organize your project. In this case, I'm going to call it SLP. So basically your name, dot, what plugin it is. In this case, it's tutorial. And then what I like to do is create a dot system class, where basically just like the main things get included. Let's say the plugin loader and some other most needed utility classes, but I'm mostly just using this for the main class of the project. Next up, you actually want to create the main class. You can do this by new Java class and calling it main. And upon creating, your file should look like this. So to actually call the server that this is actually a Spigot plugin, behind the public class main, you want to write extends Java plugin, which basically just tells the server that this is actually the main class, which it has to look for. We will also put this in the plugin config afterwards to actually tell the plugin to search for this class and actually launch it. I will tell you straight ahead that this tutorial will not be like starting from the actual grounds up. So what you would actually need is some basic, really basic Java knowledges. For example, what a string, what a boolean, what a integer, what these data types are. And I will try to keep it still as beginner friendly as possible. Alright, now that we have our main class and basically told Spigot, hey, this is the main class, you will load and unload everything in here, we actually want to create some events that happen when the plugin loads and unloads. So for this, we want to create a onEnable. So if you type onEnable, you can easily see that there's a autofill here. So just press enter. You can delete the super.onEnable, and we will do the same thing with onDisable. Now in these public voids onEnable and onDisable, everything we write in between these brackets will actually get executed. So let's say we want to send a message to the console. We can do this by typing bucket, so basically the server, dot get console sender. This basically just gets the console, and then we can do a send message, and since this is using a string, we want to type brackets, and then let's say tutorial plugin has been loaded. And we want to do the same thing on the onDisable, so just copy and paste, but instead of has been loaded, has been disabled. Now you can make this look a bit nicer by using Minecraft color codes. You can look this up by just going on this website. I will also link this in the description, and you can basically just see all the color codes right here and all the format codes right here. So you want to look for the chat code. So let's say we want to make this message a bold green. We want to use a paragraph A. So put this in front of the message, and to make it bold, you want to use paragraph L. So we put this here as well. And let's say we want to make the disable message one a dark red. We want to use a paragraph 4. Oops, paragraph 4 and paragraph L again. Alright, after you've done these two simple steps, the plugin actually has its first function, and we could export it and just see if this works. First of all, what we need to do is, under the resources tab, create a new file called plugin.yml. And in here we need to put some base configuration. As you can see, it already tells us there's some missing required properties here. So you can either click on add missing properties or type it on your own. I'm going to click on add missing properties this time. And as you can see, this just messes up some things. So let me actually just type it by hand. So what you need is, first of all, a main, which in this case would be slp.tutorial.system.main. Then you need a author. In this case, it would be me. A version, which is basically just a plugin version. I'm going to type 1.0 for this. API version is needed since I think the 1.13, which basically just tells the server, hey, use the Minecraft registry names of this version. So registry names would be, for example, if you type /give, oh, for this I need to actually be a operator, so let me do op and then my name. So let's say /give me, and then these are basically just registry names, because they tend to change per version. So in this case we type 1.17, and then the last thing you need is name, which is basically just a plugin name. In this case being tutorial plugin. Sadly you can't put any spaces in here. This, as you can see, you can only type letters, numbers. You can't use spaces in your plugin. So yeah, after doing this, you are basically free to build your plugin. How do we build the plugin? Using Maven. I am going to provide a build code in the description. So using this build code, if I would be straight up honest, I would not know like what this does. It just tells the Maven that like, yeah, I need to compile it as this. Yeah, I would have to read up that myself, to be honest. But after doing this, remember to click on load Maven changes. And now if you want to build your plugin, all you have to do is click on Maven on the upper right corner. Open up the Spigot tutorial and click on lifecycle. Click on package, and this will now compile your plugin. And after this is done, you can open up, you can see that there's a new folder called target. Open up this folder and you can see that there is your jar file right here. Now what you want to do is go to your server folder and open the plugins folder, and now you want to drag and drop your .jar file in here. Now what you can do is type rl confirm to reload the server, and you will see that the console said reload complete and tutorial plugin has been loaded. And if you actually open up your main console, you can see that this is also a nice green. And if we would reload this again, you can see tutorial plugin has been disabled and tutorial plugin has been loaded again. So if you type /pl on the server again, you can see there is one plugin loaded now, which being your plugin. And that is basically the basic steps on how to get a Spigot plugin set up and loaded on your server. I hope you enjoyed this episode. In the next episode we are going to go over either the first event listener or the first command, in which I will provide a vote link in the description on which you can decide which task we should tackle next. And until then, if you want to support me, there is my Patreon link in the description. You will also get some small and nice benefits from this if you decide to support me. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see each other hopefully in the next episode, dropping next week. So yeah, until then, see ya everyone.